It is day 14, and we are almost at the halfway point. I am Sophia Worrell, and I hope that you are benefiting from this course. Um, Before I go on to the next topic, which is a simple lesson in economics, again on the screen is my book, Manpower, and you can find it on Amazon. Most of this course is because of the book and manuscripts that I've written from. So I'm just going to keep it on the screen that you can get the book and you can get more information about what I'm writing about in this course. So I cannot emphasize enough that habits are formed in the home. When we start reading in the home, it will help us as we encounter people and situations in our daily lives. The same is with writing. As much of what we do involves some form of writing, even if it is to sign for our paycheck. I talked about budgeting, which is a skill that prepares us to manage our money and our financial matters, as almost everything we do as adults affects our economic dealings. Money is a sophisticated way of trading, and it is where cash is exchanged for product. So, in every area of our lives, we exchange money for products or services. The primitive way was to exchange service for service or service for product or product for product, but now we usually exchange a monetary value as a form of trade, and there are three basic needs that every human being requires, and that is food, shelter, and clothing. So, let's look at the subject of economics in a deeper way. Food is still grown on large farms before coming to market. In order to obtain food, we have to exchange some kind of money for the food item. But there is a production line that happens behind the scene in order for us to get the food. People have to plant and harvest the crops. Then drivers have to take the crop to the marketplace. People are hired to sell us the food that we want, and we have to work for the cash to purchase these items, whether in person or now online. It is the same with the clothes and the shoes that we wear. The clothes do not magically turn up on the rack. People had to pick the cotton or make the fabric and design each item of clothing before we can make a selection. Even the homes that we live in had a start from timber that needed to be planted and then chopped down. Someone came up with the idea to mix sand and clay to make the bricks for our buildings, and another thought up of how to form the layout. Whether we rent or own, we have to work so as to ensure that we continue to live in these structures that are supposed to protect us from the elements and weather. We have evolved from a simpler time when we lived in huts and killed wild animals and roasted them over fire. In our civilized society, we have sophisticated appliances to wash our clothes, store our food, and or cook our food. Many people thought up these things to take us from being primitive to having modern technology that we use today. Instead of having to walk for miles, we have bicycles, motorcycles, and cars. We have learned how to go faster on buses, trains, and planes. We have conquered the air, the land, and the sea. All of these require an exchange to travel on in order for us to get from one place to another and arrive at our destination quickly and then back home again. There is an assembly line to manufacture all of these vehicles and so many other items that we enjoy. All of these things require people and time. As seen in this coronavirus pandemic, when there is a demand, the price goes up, and when the demand comes down, the prices drop. When there's a rush for a certain product, it makes it very hard to keep up with the demand, and there is a scarcity as seen on many shelves that were once well stocked but are now empty. In the world of economics, this is called business. In the world of work, we are either working for someone or someone is working for us. If there is an employee, then there must be an employer, as someone came up with that business idea. In some cases, there are independent contractors. These are people who work on a small scale and do small jobs that only require their skill alone to do. But most businesses are started with the intention of growing into larger entities. Anyone who wants to start a business will want to either go to business school or have been doing startups from the time they were kids. In this game of life, the more knowledge that a person has, the better they will align themselves for success. I look at the main reasons that businesses fail is because the founder has not done their homework or learned from their experiences. I have personally done my share of startups and have heard many reasons for businesses failing. But the best two reasons that I heard was in this one class that I attended. Before I share it, I want to ask you in this next exercise, why do you think people fail in businesses? I can take this a step further. Why do we fail as workers? You may want to just write it out, pause the video, and answer it, or answer it after the video. Let's continue. We can go through a list which deals with the operations of businesses, like being a good leader, having a unique product or service, being in touch with clients and the customer needs, and having a business model that leads to rapid growth and expansion. But there's a step before getting there, and it is not the ability to deliver real value or connect with the target audience or having transparency. All of these are vital to any business. The founder wants to see effective sales and marketing strategies to compete with other market leaders, and they want to have good relationships with their staff in order to build morale and by providing good incentive packages. But the one reason some businesses do not necessarily get off the ground or develop into larger corporations or make a significant impact is because the founder has poor financial management. This means that they have no idea how much it would take to get that business truly up and running and operating for at least 2 years before they can turn a profit. And the founder has no understanding of the need for lawyers, accountants, insurance, and cost to manufacture, pay for salaries and other startup costs. They're too ready to run for a bank loan instead of raising their own capital, where the risk is not as great as with a lender. Most people of African descent are encouraged to go into business for themselves without having the theoretical education in business or the practical experience of doing startups, where they were learning the techniques before launching ahead with an idea. So now they are unaware of the risk. Again, I was shocked to hear many people who consider themselves entrepreneurs talking only about their product or service, but never speaking in terms of how many people they serve and how those encounters translated into profits. Let's talk a little bit about creating wealth. There's a way to create wealth. First, we have to go to school. We have to write out the ideas that are certain through our minds from God. We must test them to verify the validity and feasibility of that idea. We have to share those ideas with a partner, whether spouse or colleague. We have to adjust and readjust. We need a mentor who has failed and succeeded. We must know as much as possible what business we want to start or line of work we want to get into. We must set financial targets. How else would we know how to succeed, and then not let anything stop us from achieving that goal? We must understand that life will test our resolve, and we are to overcome whatever is thrown at us with the end goal in mind. Life always gives way to the resolved mind. The problem with us of African descent is that we have it all backwards. We do not complete school, and in most cases, if we do, we did not do very well. We get kids and they separate from the person we have children with. This leaves us to struggle alone to maintain ourselves on one income. And of course, we are too burdened to teach any principles or values to our children. Then, after realizing our mistake, we struggle to go back to get the schooling that we missed while still trying to work and raise children, which of course is all overwhelming. I cannot make this any easier. This is a recipe for success. The steps is an exact science that, when followed, is the right order and it guarantees success. 1. Stop moving from partner to partner. Teach children the importance of remaining chaste and dating in order to be in a committed relationship. We want them to form solid relationships so that they will not have to keep uprooting from house to house. Completing school to obtain higher education is a way to specialize. Presently, there are too many gaps in our lives. The detached mentality has hindered us from uniting to pool resources and build reputable relationships. Constant breaks frustrates the mental processes and does not facilitate the mechanism for growth. That is why I am bringing our issues to the forefront and recommending solutions that fills the voids. A little bit about investing. The experts say that we must have at least 3 months' salary saved in case we lose our jobs. But this will be difficult if an individual lives paycheck to paycheck. My father gave me the best advice of my life, and I want to share it with you now. He told me that I must always work, and when I work, I must save. I want to add this advice, and it was one that my son added to it, and I love it. He said, work, save, but also learn how to invest as well. I want to leave you with this homework exercise. So there are many studies conducted, and one of them asks how much money should you have saved by the age of 40. So is it 2 times your yearly income? Is it 3 times your yearly income? Or is it 4 times your yearly income? Now, of course, it would depend on certain factors. How much is your annual salary? What are your expenses? And how difficult you have with the discipline to save and to not touch those savings. But for fun, you can just do the calculations. There are many of us of African descent that are now being stereotyped with those who act barbaric and unintelligent. Their thug-like behavior is not what we want represented of our culture anymore. This is not God's way. This is not the American way, and it is time to build a culture that is peaceful, loving, and kind. Thank you.